You're listening to the Mystery Novel Nerd podcast, a virtual book club for readers of mystery, thriller and suspense novels. Twice a month, I will bring you a short discussion about what makes a great mystery novel, as well as latest reads over a cup of tea. And who am I? I'm your host, mystery author, A.D. Hay. Hello everybody. I thought I'd come on here and just update you as to what is happening with the Book Nerd podcast. You probably would have noticed that the name and the podcast artwork, along with the logo for the podcast, has actually changed. The reason why I'm doing this is because a couple of weeks ago I discovered there was another podcast out there with the exact same name as me, and it had been going on for quite some time. And when I originally did the search for the podcast named The Book Nerd, I did the search, but I didn't know results came up for The Book Nerd. Like the exact results, Book Nerd didn't come up. So I thought, okay, no one's using that name. I'm free to use it because that's why you do that search, right, before you start naming something. So I think I was updating the links for the podcast and I was trying to push the podcast out to other things. So I thought, and I also considered using Anchor for a while, changing podcast host, but I haven't done that. So I was on Anchor and I realized I was entering the podcast name just because you have to set it up before you can sort of transfer it over. And I realized that the name was taken and I thought, what? So I searched and I found it on Audible and I realized it had over 88 episodes and I thought, oh, I can't keep using this name because I have content planned for the next few episodes. I'm interviewing an author, a cozy mystery author, and his book's called The Devil's Chew Toy, so I'm really looking forward to that. It was super funny and I really enjoyed it. So I've got that and I plan on doing a couple of book readings of my own books because I can't do book readings of other people because I don't hold the copyright. Because I'm the intellectual property right holder for my own stuff, I can sort of do that. But I can't do that with other people's books, which is a bit of a bummer. So I plan on reading the first chapter of book 1 and maybe the prologue in the first chapter of book 2. But I'll mark it very clearly what it is because I don't think I have the stamina to read an entire book like week by week. It is going to be a lot of work to do these book readings because I need to sort of create like a script. Not that I'm going to do any voice acting, but I want to put a reasonably good effort into it. So I have rebranded the podcast. I decided not to re-release the podcast. I just decided to accept that I preferred to the first 9 episodes as the Book Nerd, and then from this episode onwards, it's going to be the Mystery Novel Nerd. So I'm really sorry. I've been really slacking off with this podcast, but it's something that I really love and hopefully time won't sort of get in the way. I did intend on releasing episodes August, September and October, but there have been renovations sort of next door. I live in a Victorian style house in London where all the houses are together, and so there's lots of entrances but the buildings are separate, but it's in one big building. It's very confusing. I probably should have prepared a photo for you. Not of my front house, but of the type of building I'm talking about. And so my building ends, and then there's another building, and the gap between these buildings is like a width of a person. So they had scaffolding up because they were renovating the facade of the building, and the workmen were sort of walking between there. And there was obviously noise. As you can see, if you're listening for the audio, this is probably wasted on you, but I don't use a professional studio. You can probably hear traffic. You can definitely hear the Guy Fawkes fireworks because during this time of year, the Brits go crazy with fireworks. I don't know what their fascination is, but yeah. So I couldn't record for a while and I had to sort of put off the interview. So I'm about to sort of schedule the link so I can do that interview with that author. So I have exciting things coming up. I haven't forgotten about the podcast. It's just I wasn't able to release content and I've renamed it. So this is everything I wanted to talk about. So thank you for listening or watching, and I'll see you in the next episode, which hopefully will be released quite within the next few weeks. So thanks for listening and happy reading, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Mystery Novel Nerd podcast. If you're new to this podcast or want to be notified about more episodes just like this, then click the subscribe button right now. You can find the episode show notes and lots more information at author adhay.com/podcast. I'm your host, mystery author AD Hay, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time with another episode. Happy reading, everybody.